Do you still see it? The guidance of grace.
Your strength. Extraordinary.
My faith does not waver. All things can be conjoined.
Hey guys, Thingfishy here. So make your character, choose the Confessor class, and grab the golden seed as the starting item. So while we run to Torrent, let's talk about this video. Welcome to build guide number 6, and this one is a super powerful strength faith build. And I must say it's a little sentimental for me, as it's pretty much the exact build I used on my first playthrough of Elden Ring, just a lot more optimised. It's a very melee focused strength faith build, but the reason for that is I wanted to make the most powerful one I could think of first. And boy is it powerful. In this playthrough you will see some of the strongest and most terrifying bosses in Elden Ring being completely bullied by this build. So let's talk about setup. For this I followed all of my usual setup, link to the full video and play along in the description, grabbing the sacred tears and the smithing stones in Weeping Peninsula, getting more tears, upgrades and Radagon Saw Seal in Caelid, doing a sweep of Liurnia and the sealed tunnels in Altus for smithing stones, and going to Volcano Manor early for the +6 Somber. So while you're doing this, there's a couple of important things to do. First off, when you reach the Church of Pilgrimage in Weeping, drop down the cliffs to the east of it and grab the Faith Knot tear. While you're in Limgrave, help Alexander out of his hole, and then nothing. We're going to do his questline in this one. Comment section, rejoice. Believe it or not, I've never actually done his questline before, so this should be fun. While you're running south through the Mistwood from the Third Church of Marika, take a detour to the Minor Erd Tree for the spiked, cracked crystal tear. Then head southwest from there to grab the Axe Talisman from the ruins. When you've got all the weapon upgrades, we pick up the action here, in Summon Water Village. We need to kill this Mariner. He's absolutely fine even with no upgrades or levels. Just use your square off R2 for staggers. Now for a slightly more difficult challenge. We need to kill the Tree Sentinel for one of the weapons that we're going to be using in this playthrough. Now, if you're not that confident fighting this guy, you can do it after we've got our levels from Cavalry and Grail. But Confessor, as well as Samurai, are great for killing this guy straight out of the gate. Do a square off R2, then another for the stagger, and then one more for big damage. Now we head back to the Third Church of Marika, round to the teleporter behind it that we used to set up, to get to the Bestial Sanctum. Talk to Garank and give him a death root from the Mariner. He'll then reward you with the Claw Mark seal. This is the best seal in the game for strength faith builds that have more investment in strength. We're going to use it for the whole game. Now head to Lelena's Rise for the Knights Cavalry. Now a little tip here. If you position yourself on the ledge, you can simply quit out if it looks like he's about to give you the wrong attack. Eventually, he'll give you the good one when you load back in. Head back to the Grace and level up. Now on to Fort Farith. Equip the Morning Star, apply bleed grease to it and start hacking away at Grail. Apply it again halfway through and pop the pickled Foulfoot just as Grail dies. Now head back to the round table and stock up on smithing stone 4s and 3s. Make sure you have 12 each. Then warp to Iji and level the Golden Halberd to +6 and the Claw Mark Seal to +16. Then use the remaining runes to level up. Now head to Altus all the way across to the Bridge of Inequity Grace in Mount Gelmir. Head towards where the invader shows up, and then loot Golden Vow from this hut. Now back to the third church. Head up the Spirit Springs and around into Caelid. We're heading to Fort Gale. Light the Grace outside, then head round the side of the building to grab Flame Grant Me Strength. Now for Margit. At the Grace, level up your Flask, memorize Golden Vow, and Flame Grant Me Strength. Then equip the Strength and the Crack Tears. Before you head in, use the Physic to meet the requirements for Golden Vow. Then cast Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength. This will be our setup for the whole run. As always, we're super overpowered for this fight. 3 charged R2s and a riposte is all it takes. Stick the Axe Talisman in your new pouch, level, and then head through Stormvale in the usual way. Rest at the secluded cell and buff in front of the gate, then head in for Godric. For this fight, 2 charged R2s will take him to the transition. You can get 1 more in while he does this. Then run straight up to him for phase 2 and get 2 more for the stagger. Take the riposte for the win. Now we're going to head back on ourselves from the secluded cell bonfire through the castle to this room by the rats, through the Stone Sword Key Gate, and grab the Godslayer's Prayer Book. Take this back to Corin at the Round Table and buy Black Flame. I'm not going to rely on it too much in this playthrough, but it's handy to have if you want a ranged option. Now walk back to Rhea Lucaria for Red Wolf. Buff up outside the arena. Now this fight is an absolute joke. 1 charged R2 will do about 70% of his health. 1 more and it's over. Level up at the Grace, then head to Renala. Punch the Sweetings to stop them spawning all over the place. Then instead of one-cycling Renala like we definitely could, leave 1 attack left so we have time to buff. When the 6th Sweeting dies, buff with Flame Grant Me Strength and Golden Vow, then end the fight with an R1. For phase 2, run straight up to her for a chargey. From then on, just attack whenever it's safe. For anyone who hasn't spotted this, the summon you want in phase 2 is the dragon. You can stand right next to her and attack, and the flames will go straight over your head. It's a great opportunity for a charged R2 on any weapon. Level up, grab the 3rd talisman pouch from Enya, now walk back to Fort Gale in Caelid, head up the ladder at the back, and grab the Star Scourge heirloom and equip it. Now walk to the Boiled Prawn Shack, head southeast to Raya, speak to her and back to the shack for her necklace, then back to her for the Volcano Manor invitation. Up the Dectus lift to the Altus Plateau, take Raya's hand to get to Volcano Manor, speak to Tanith, then head through to Godskin and buff outside his room. Now this is a really easy Godskin fight, all you have to do is run up to him and go for a charge. Charged R2 to start, then some R1s to build up posture damage. On his transformation, hit him with another charged attack to stagger him out of the roll. Take the riposte and from there, hit him with R2s for another stagger. He should go down pretty easily. Level up and run through the rest of the dungeon. When you get to Rykard's Grace, pop a Golden Rune 9 to round up your levels so you don't lose them. As usual for Rykard, we equip the Lance in the right hand, Serpent Hunter in the left, and do crouching pokes for both phases to stagger him out of all of the dangerous stuff. Pop his remembrance, then level up. Now walk back to the Temple of Eagle and head through the dungeon, through the Stone Sword Key Gate, right down to the bottom to grab the Smithing Stones 7. You can now head back to EG and level the Golden Halberd to +9. Now walk to the capital outskirts and across the battlefields for Draconic Tree Sentinel. Now there's a super easy strat for this fight. Run up to him, do 2 charged R2s in a row, then... Okay, so for the stagger, do a jumping R2 off torrent, and then 2 charged R2s for the stagger. Another after the stagger, then 1 more while he transforms for phase 2. 1 more after this will end the fight. Now make your way through the capital, grab the Avenue balcony grace, then go back, buff up and bully the Erdtree avatar. Pop the Lord's rune and level up. Head through the rest of the capital for Godfrey. Now for this fight we're going for charged R2s. For the first one, wait for the throw and start your attack while he's in the air. Another good place is after this 1-2-3 combo. If you can get 3 charged R2s in, just do a couple of R1s for the stagger. If you want to play it super safe, you can just punish his recoveries with R1s, as usual. Now it's time for Morgott. 3 R2s will stagger. You can use this to skip that big dagger attack that he does. Take the riposte and a further R2 for the phase transition. For phase 2, for a super casual strat, just chuck 3 black flames at him and that should be enough. Oh god, Morgott, no, don't do it, this is for a video, please! Now head to Caelid. Go south all the way to Castle Redmane and level up at the Grace. For Radahn, ride backwards at the start to despawn him and skip the scary run. Buff up as he runs towards you. And I'm just going to let this one play out. Charged R2s for the win. Then go speak to our boy and chill with him for a little bit. Now level up. Then we head through the Forbidden Lands and up to the mountaintops. There are 2 things that we need in the Zamor ruins. First, ride through the buildings and down into the cellar for the Smithing Stone Bell 3. Then chuck a couple of black flames at this scarab in the tree for the Somber 7. Now head across the bridge and straight for this big scarab for a Somber 8. Then head up to the bridge directly above the Snow Valley Ruins Grace for the Somber 9. Go to this giant by the freezing lake and bait him into attacking this statue for more Somber Stones. Then head around the lake to the First Church of Marika for another sacred tier and up the nearby hill for more smithing stones. You can now go back to the round table and buy the stones necessary to level your weapon to plus 20. This is as far as I went with the seal on this playthrough, but you can level it up fully after Godskin Duo if you want to use Black Flame a little more than I do. Now, for the first time in one of my guides, we're going to head down to Siofra River. Run through the ruins, up the second lift, to the River Grace. Grab the melted mushroom just above the Grace. Now we need to get to the merchant. Now while the intended way is up the scaffolding nearby, if you're in a hurry because you're making a YouTube guide, you can go into this room with the flowers and do some horse parkour. Buy the cookbook 7 off him, then head back to the Church of Allah in Limgrave to buy some crackpots and the crafting kit from Carle. Now we're going to ride north up the eastern coast of Liurnia to find that our boy has got himself in a bit of a pickle again. This time we can't just hit him out, so craft an oil pot from the melted mushrooms we picked up, lube him up and give him a whack. This is pretty fun actually, I might do this quest more often. Ride through the mountaintops and light the Grace by Fire Giant, and allocate at least 5 blue flasks. For this fight, use charged R2s for the first phase. For the second, wait for the hand to drop, then get a charge E or two on it. This should then give you an opportunity to riposte. From here, just throw some black flames at him for a very easy and safe phase 2. Level up and head back to the Altus Plateau and up around Volcano Manor to the Magma Worm boss. Ride to the shore of the lava behind it and quit out. Now you can safely go and speak to Alexander while he's tempering himself. Now head back to the mountaintops to burn the Erd Tree. Head all the way through Faramazula to the Dragon Temple Transept Grace. Head back to the Saints Bridge Merchant for some crackpots, then to the Boil Prawn Shack and into the village of the Albanurics for any extra mushrooms or Centrina's lilies you need, and the second half of the secret medallion. Craft your sleep pots and run in to put Duo to sleep. Buff up and hit 3 charges, followed by a riposte, then get another one on the body as it's disappearing as the hitbox is still active. Run through the rest of Farum and go behind the dragon to grab the ancient somber smithing stone. Once you've lit the bridge grace, you can walk back to EG to level the golden halberd to +10. Go bully the tree sentinel with charged R2s. Then level up. Now make sure you have 2 stone sword keys. Go buy some from the round table if not, using some of the runes that you have on you. Then run through from the Duo Grace to find this stone sword gate, and then out into the next area to find our main man chilling up here. I wonder what we do now. Oh, we've got to fight him. I guess it's like the Patches fight where he stops halfway through. I kind of feel like I'm going to kill him with this next one. Oh, he's okay. Thank God for that. Wait a minute. So, all the stick you guys give me in the comment section for killing him in Limgrave, and we have to kill him anyway? Oh, why do these games always do this? Go play another game, go for a long walk, or simply scream into a cushion to emotionally recover. Then head to Caria Manor. Loretta takes 3 hits. Speak to Rani, then walk back to Fort Height and down into Nokron. Bully the Mimic by not giving it any weapons. Then head into Big Moose. Not much to say about this one, just charged R2s. It's a really easy fight and very safe. Then head down to the Knight's Sacred Ground to grab the Fingerslayer Blade. Then into the Aqueduct to the Gargoyles. As always, you can't take this fight for granted, but with the amount of damage that we're doing, it's relatively safe. Charged heavy attacks for the flashy damage, or R1s if you want to be super safe. Pop the Golden Rune 12 and level up. Head back to Rani for the Carian inverted statue, then over to the Carian study hall for the Curse Mark of Death. Take the teleporter in Renna's Rise and head through Ainsel River all the way to Estelle. The strategy here is charged R2s on the head. I'll let this one play. Back to the Grace in Faramazula, pop a Golden Rune 10 and level up. Now it's time for Beast and Malekith. So Beast can always be a little bit of a nightmare with a slow weapon. One thing that I've got to grips with relatively recently is jumping, this quick little 1-2 attack that he does here. There is just about enough time to combine this with a jump attack, but you're probably safer keeping that one for faster weapons. As usual for the safest fight, you can wait for this dragging sweep for a charged R2 behind him. Here's a cool strat for the Malekith opening. Walk back a couple of steps to dodge the first swing, and then run in for 2 charged attacks for a stagger. You can then take a riposte and only have to deal with a few hits for the rest of the fight. If, however, you want a much easier fight, now's a good time to go get our second weapon. Head back to the round table, go to Enya, then use Rykard's remembrance. Pop his remembrance, then level up. Fuck. Okay, head back to the Weeping Peninsula, go to this walking mausoleum, and give its feet a clean. Head in and duplicate Rykard's remembrance, and go get the blasphemous blade. So to get set up for this weapon, we're first going to head to Mount Gelmir, to the Bridge of Inequity Grace. Go up the ladder whilst trying to resist the urge to sing Snake Eater. Fail, then grab the Somber 6 on this body by the cliff. You can now head back to EG, buy the Sombers that you don't have, and level up Blasphemous Blade to +10. Now head back to the third church in Limgrave, up the Spirit Springs, round into Caelid and towards the Minor Erdtree. We're here to kill the Putrid Avatar for the Flame Shrouding tier. He does big damage but doesn't have much health. You can kill him very easily with charged R2s. Then head back to Mount Gelmir, to the Seathwater Terminus Grace, and into Fort Lyde. Up to the rooftops to grab the Fire Scorpion Charm. Now the reason that we're doing all of this is because the weapon art of Blasphemous Blade, Taker's Flame, deals exclusively fire damage and scales with your faith. So we're going to switch our physic to the Flame tier and the Faith tier, then swap the Axe Talisman for the Shard of our deceased mate. Blasphemous Blade makes Beast so much easier, as Taker's Flame gives us some range. For Malekith, use it exactly like a charged R2, punishing that slow 1-2 combo he has, using it just before he jumps backwards towards you, for an alternative method for a very easy fight. Level up the Grace, then go fight Fia's champions. And this is just a massacre with Blasphemous Blade. Spam Taker's Flame on all of them. Take note of how it slams them to the ground, and because of this, it's really easy to chain. Then level up. Now for Gideon, and here's where the footage of my fight with Gideon should be. But somehow I didn't capture it on my PS5, and my failsafe OBS capture wasn't running either. So sorry about that. But it's incredibly easy. As you've just seen with Lionel, you can spam Taker's Flame for an easy stun lock. Level up, then head in for Godfrey. As we did earlier, bait the jump and hit L2 just as the axe lands for a Taker's Flame start. For the safest fight, you can go with the usual method of single R1s, or you can use the extended range of Taker's Flame to hit him in places where you usually can't, such as during his stomps. As he gets down to around half health, try to make sure that you have enough FP for at least one weapon art as you head into Hoaraloo. At the start of the Hoaraloo fight, walk backwards to avoid the grab, then get a Taker's Flame in. For the rest of the fight, as usual, just pick your moments. Taker's Flame is a little too slow to be 100% safe for Hoaraloo, but we do have enough health to tank a follow-up if we get unlucky. Level up, and now it's time for Radagon. And you're gonna love this fight. If you can dodge only a couple of attacks, it's fairly easy to do this hitless. As soon as the fight starts, run forward a few steps and do 2 Taker's Flames. This will deplete his health enough to trigger his jump attack. Dodge and do another one after he lands. Now this is the only unscripted bit. Dodge whatever he does now and drink your blue flask. On the next teleport, he'll start his triple slam. Dodge this and do 2 more Taker's Flames for a hitless Radagon. I did this maybe half a dozen times while I was getting memed by Elden Beast, so it's pretty consistent. Now, Elden Beast isn't going to be bullied around, and with another build, I'd probably leave him until later in the run. However, since we have all or most of our heals, and also have healing from Taker's Flame, it's not actually that bad. The strategy is to use standard attacks all the time you are at full health, then use Taker's Flame to replenish your health if you get hit. Across the whole fight, this will make you so much more tanky, and make it a lot comfier than it would be otherwise. As always, light rolls are the way forward for Elden Stars, but I wanted the fashion. Level up, then head to the mountaintops for Castle Sol for one of the most satisfying Commander Nar fights you'll have in the game. One-shot the right summon with Taker's Flame, then do the same with the left one. For bonus points, hit Nile at the same time. Then for Nile himself, you can just use Taker's Flame at a distance. This was probably the easiest fight in the whole run, which is definitely a first for Nile. Grab the other half of the medallion, level up, then head to the Grand Lift of Roll to hoist it up. Run through the snowfield, all the way to Ordina Town. Now once again I'm using Ordina Skip, which still works on 1.07 to save time, but as I showed in the Faith Guide, the new light rolls are perfect for dodging the archers if and when this skip gets patched in the future. Jump on this pillar, line up your compass to the right of this notch, then do 2 jumps with the direction order being 1 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Head through the Halig tree, making sure you grab the shortcut, and onto Loretta. For this fight, you can use the extra range of Taker's Flame to keep away from those melee attacks and continue to do damage. As always, those big blue combos provide a great opportunity for either an attack or a heal. Run through Elfil all the way to the Halig Tree Roots Grace. Now, there's some good news and some bad news for Malenia. The good news is that Taker's Flame will floor her and allow for chain attacks. The bad news is she will dodge it if you do it while she's idling, and if she waterfowls while you're doing it, you're dead. So we need to find a way of getting Taker's Flame off while she can't dodge or waterfowl. There are 2 good ways of doing this. The first is to hit her as soon as she lands from the jump attack. You can get 2 flames in a row here consistently. The second and arguably more consistent method is grabbing our old friend the Buckler and parrying her. I'd highly recommend this at the start of the fight, as after the parries and the riposte, you can get 2 Taker's Flames, then an almost guaranteed waterfowl, which at this point can be dodged really easily because of how far you've pushed her away. The dodge for this second part of it is 3 rolls back to back, 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 6 o'clock. If you're not confident in parrying Malenia, check out my in-depth guide on it. For phase 2, spam Taker's Flame through the flower at the start, then go back to your parrying strategy for the rest of the fight. It really doesn't last long with this weapon. Level up, then head to Plassey. Start the fight as always by running from front to back between flames to dodge those lightning strikes. Now the sensible strategy is the same one as Elden Beast. Go with standard attacks and only use Taker's Flame when you're down on health. But you can also forget that and YOLO it like I did. Now head back down to Deeproot Depths and get hugged by fear. For a great start in the Fortis-Axe fight, lock on and hit Taker's Flame just as you see the head drop. From here you can just use Taker's Flame when it's safe. Our damage is very high, so this really isn't a difficult fight. Now head back to the snowfield and southwest from Ordina. Jump onto this ledge to cheese this invader, and then take the teleporter to Mogwin Palace. Pop any extra runes or remembrances you have, level up at the rune farming grace. Head through the palace picking up the Lord's rune along the way, and light the grace at the midpoint ready for our last fight. Now, while Taker's Flame did 2,500 damage to Melania, it will do about 300 to Mohg, so don't even consider it. Mohg is almost the anti-strength faith boss, as he has insane resistance to fire and pretty high resistance to holy, making both of our current weapons compromised. One thing he's not resistant to though are staggers. At the grace, swap the fire tier for the purifying tier, and the faith tier for the strength tier, and swap the fire talisman back to the axe talisman. For phase 1, focus on charged R2s to get staggers. For knee heal, make sure you keep attacking throughout to negate a bit of the healing. Then get a charged R2 on him just as he's recovering to shave off an extra bit of free health. Now unfortunately, this does mean that we're just going to have to fight his phase 2. Phase 2 Mohg is pretty terrifying, and I'm afraid there isn't really any real strat here. You're just going to have to play well. If I had any blanket advice about this fight, it would be that R1s are generally safer, and while it feels like every enemy in Elden Ring throws nothing but roll catches at you, Mohg feels like this is really turned up to 10. So keeping your cool and reacting later is almost always the correct response to the chaos. And that's it, how to make a super powerful strength faith build in Elden Ring. If you've made it this far and actually tried this build, please let me know how you got on in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, leave me a comment with a future build suggestion, and subscribe to my channel for more Elden Ring build guides. As always, thanks for watching. See you soon.